So my office is in the Bullitt Center, which is a living building. Living building is a designation that is a performance-based standard for sustainability, where it is net zero energy, net zero water, utilizes materials very wisely and from local sustainable sources. So this building has been called the greenest office building in the world. It was opened in 2013. And so we've had our 10-year anniversary here at this building. And it was built as a proof of principle that it's possible to build a building that gives back as much to the environment as it takes. So the living building is structured around the metaphor of a flower, and it has 7 petals. And so, they're energy, water, and materials, health, beauty, equity, and sight. So this is the main entry of the Bullitt Center, and one of the things that the architects and the owners decided to do is put the main vertical transportation right up front in the building, and that's this staircase. They call it the irresistible stair, so it's so lovely you can't resist but go up the stairway. And it's for a couple reasons. One is using the elevator uses energy. And so we want to try to limit the amount of energy we're using in a wasteful way. And it's a healthy thing to use your body for moving. It's healthy for you to move. And so these stairs were put here as the primary vertical transportation. One of the things that I was interested in when we first moved into the building is, are people actually taking the stairs? I call it an architectural hypothesis, that these are irresistible, but are they actually? And we found that most trips were by the stairs, even all the way to the 6th floor, which is a hike. You'll definitely be out of breath by the time you get to the 6th floor.
So the net zero energy goal, how is that achieved here?
Yeah, so great question. So it is measured by the performance of energy over the course of the year. And so you must generate as much energy as you use over the course of that year. And at the time of the living building challenge, when the Bullitt Center was built, you had to generate all that electricity on the site itself. And so the first measure to do that isn't generate the electricity. The first measure is energy efficiency. And to do that, this building, first, the envelope is very, very high performance. And so I talked to architects about the first piece of energy efficiency is in your court to create and design a really good envelope. And then the mechanical systems can support the needs of the heating, cooling, and ventilation in a much more energy efficient way. So here, the way that is employed is there's a radiant system that provides heating and cooling, and it's either in heating mode or cooling mode. So you can see a couple of things here. One, you can see the shading devices that are down. These are exterior operable shades. They're the first stage of the cooling system here. So they come down, there's a device on the roof that can see if it's sunny or cloudy. Right now it's sunny, and it knows where the sun is in the sky. And so it'll deploy the blinds just at the right time when the sun would come into the space. That's really important because those really direct sunlight inside in the building makes hot spots within the building, and the radiant heating and cooling systems can't keep up with that. So it's really important to stop the sun before it comes into the space to reduce the amount of heating and cooling that's needed in the space. Otherwise, radiant systems would not work. The thing that's interesting about the Living Building Challenge is that they don't dictate how you get to the end goal. They just say what the end goal needs to be. And so it's actually pretty general as a standard, but so you could get there in all kinds of different ways. You could design a passive house that then met the net zero energy goal by being very energy efficient and then needing a smaller generation system. In this case, it's not a passive house standard envelope, but it's a very high performance envelope.
So this is the mechanical space for the building, and what we see here are pumps and heat pumps primarily. The space of the mechanical room is actually much smaller than it would be in a typical office building because most of the heating and cooling is provided by water, which is a much more compact thing to move around. So we have a lot of pumps because that water solution is pumped out into the ground under the building, and it's brought to the heat pumps, and then the water solution is pumped up into the spaces for heating and cooling. So that takes a lot of pump energy. Mechanical room has this glass wall on it. Don't ever see a mechanical room in an office building, but it was designed purposefully as a teaching tool. And so architects provided visibility to these systems. Another thing we can see in this space is the ventilation system and the ductwork. In a decoupled system, when the heating and cooling is separated from the ventilation air, that duct system is much smaller than it would have been otherwise. And you can see that here, that this duct is much smaller than it would be in a typical building. And so it tucks up and fits right there, which is a big deal from a space planning perspective. Thanks for visiting. Appreciate you learning more about the Bullitt Center, and I'll see you the next time.